And the first thing we're going to cook is basically make some baked beans. And the name of this is Jamaican baked beans. And if you wonder how the name come about, is a buddy of mine. He's a little different. You'd have to know him. But he called one day and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making beans." And he said, "Jamaican beans?" Well, that got me to thinking about jerk chicken and different things. And I decided at that time, I thought, well, maybe the best thing to do would be to just name it Jamaican beans. So what we started with was just some regular baked beans that you can buy off the shelf. And we just kind of dump those in. And then we'll take and we'll drain a little bit of into a bowl. We'll dump in some red kidney beans and black beans. And what I like to do with these, I like to drain these because that juice just makes it a little bit too strong. So I like to take and dump those in and I like to rinse them off. So we're going to do that. And what you're seeing here is really sort of a double recipe versus what you have there in front of you. But I've learned a long time ago, if there's any left or anything extra left, people don't mind. They'll take it home with them or they'll eat it one way or the other. So we're going to give those a little rinse. Make sure that they're good and drained. And we're going to dump them in. We're going to hope this bowl is big enough. It's the biggest one I could find. So we're going to do that. We're going to add just maybe one more of these just to get a different texture between the different types of beans. That way it's not so boring. Everything I like to do a little bit of different stuff that you don't see all the time. And you rarely see baked beans for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. But you rarely see different types of beans in baked beans. They're usually just plain old pintos and stuff, but when you use the black beans and the red beans, you get a nice color. So if you can see, you mix all those together, it's not just one thing. It starts already looking kind of nice. So we'll go with that in this mixture. Save that for another time. And then you'll notice on there it talks about molasses. This is where we're getting the sweet from today, is we're adding the molasses. And as this cooks up, it intensifies anymore. But you're talking about a strong, bold flavor. When you use molasses, that really gives it that kick. You can see how dark that's starting to get and how everything's mixing up real good. And then the next thing is brown sugar. I don't know, some people might think it's a little bit too sweet, but I don't know about adding brown sugar that you can ever get too sweet in any of this stuff. So I like it real sweet and real spicy. So add that in, then you'll see the ketchup that goes in. We'll get that in. We'll get the mustard in. And then we'll get the seasoning in. And then to give it just a little bit of different taste, I found this is one thing I added to the recipe after I first developed, is just a little bit of apple cider. Now, when I say apple cider, you can use whatever you have. I've used apple cider, apple juice. My mom claims the best I ever made one time had apple, we used apple sauce. We didn't have anything, and we put some applesauce in there and mixed all that together, and it works good. Then to get the heat, is one of my favorites. They're not too hot, but hot enough, and that is jalapeno peppers. And the way I like to do those is basically I'll take and take the center and cut them in half, and then I'll take the center out and the seeds out. And then I use this little thing my wife's got. And I like to get them fairly fine. And you can see that right there, and that way you don't get it on your hands as bad, you don't get the smell, you don't get the odor, and you can get it as fine or as loose as you want that way. So this thing works pretty well. I'm going to add a little bit more. I don't know how brave y'all are. That's a little much. We'll pull that one piece out and then cut it. We'll cut that up. No, like I said, this everybody brought Alka-Seltzer or Rolaids. You got them in your pocket, right? I mean, you're going to need them. So we get all that in there. And the combination is, as you can see, it's all kind of runny, but we're going to bake it quite a while. That's why I want to do it first tonight. Just mix all that together, and you can see it all just kind of blends. It even helps sometimes you got the time, we don't have today, but you can take and make it up and let it sit a little while, let the flavors kind of come together. And then the last ingredient, because I like the meat, the sweet, and the heat, is bacon. Can never go wrong with bacon in anything, especially the beans. Okay? And that, I don't know how much bacon you like, but you can make a meal out of this right here. I mean, that's about a pound of bacon. Maybe just a hair more. I don't measure a lot. I was telling Leslie, I just kind of throw, my wife has to say how much all this stuff is. I don't know how much I put in all this. But basically right there is the main mixture for the baked beans. And what we're going to do then is mix this up real good, get all its flavors all together. And because it won't fit in one pan, then we're going to pour it in these 2 pans. Hopefully without getting all over the rest of the stove here. Yes, yes. Before everybody got here, I didn't want to take that much time. I figured everybody knew how to fry a little bacon. So I will tell you the best bacon to use is for this recipe though is the thick slice. I don't know if it's on the recipe or not, but that makes it even meatier. And about 1 pound. If you really love bacon, maybe 1.5 pounds. But you take that then and kind of pour it in that pan. And then pour the rest of it won't fit in this pan. And so we got that all coming together there. And if the TV's on, you can sort of see up there, it's going to look kind of dark. And then we're going to stick that here in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30-45 minutes. What you're basically trying to do is just get some of the liquid out of it, just kind of dry it up a little bit. The bacon's cooked, the beans have been cooked before. So we're going to get that right there in the oven and get that going. And there's the Jamaican baked beans. We'll see how those come out here in a little bit, okay? And as I mentioned, that's just sort of my recipe that we come up with. My wife don't like onions. She told me not to put it in there, so we're putting onion over there. But you can adjust as you need, like the jalapenos, as much as you think you like. The onion, some people like it, some don't. Some people don't like different ingredients. Just experiment. That's what I did with that. I just started throwing everything in from a Jamaican chicken recipe and taking things in and out, so that's what we ended up with. They're still just a little runnier than I normally make them. But we'll get them out where they can cool just a little bit. We'll leave the other one in here and let them bake a little longer.